Welcome back to Capybara Go, and today we are doing the full skills tier list. That's a lot of skills, and that will help you to go through the chapter without any significant issues, because every time you choose skills, you need to select the right ones that will allow you to push through the stages and fight the goddamn final bosses easier. And getting the right skills is hard because it's a roguelike, so basically we will get the random skills every time, and we need to adapt to get the best build for ourselves. But before we start, there are some things I have to mention regarding the tier list. You guys all know that it's subjective. This is my opinion, and that's the skill that I would like to pick, and that actually works for me. Moreover, this tier list is tuned for the newer players, someone who is not even a month in. Well, it should work all the way up to maybe chapter 50 or so. Can't say for sure because I'm a new player and it works for me, and I managed to reach chapter 27 so far in about how long? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not entirely sure. But it works, and if you will do more runs, that will help you out more. Once again, you can find the whole list on Game Vault Wiki. I made a text guide over there with all the skills. It will take too long to talk about each of them so much, so you can get the full description over here. Oh my god, that's a lot of text. So I will try to make it as brief as possible and light up only the important things. So basically you will get only the main things in the video, and if you want the details, go to the guide, text guide, and read it there. Here are all our skills. That's a lot of them, and we will have several tiers here. S plus is basically the best stuff you can get, and you should take it every time you see it. S is very good, A is still good. I mean, that depends on what we will get, right? B is somewhat okay, C is most of the time you would like to skip it or situational, and D are mostly useless skills. But once again, it can be different for everyone. It's based on the equipment, on the build, on the progression, on the luck. There are so many things here, but you will get the general idea after watching this video. Also, if you would like to see the extended description of the skills, you can go to Game Vault Wiki for Capybara Go as well, and there are a special column here that actually shows additional info on the skills. We're trying to add more stuff over here, so feel free to contribute and share it with others. I will start with the mythic skills, and we will go down the rarity afterwards for legendary and then for the common skills. So you will have all of them over here. I have those icons without the backgrounds that I used for the wiki, so we have those, and they look pretty cool. Anyway, so let's start. We're finally ready. First is combo dagger. 2 daggers, it's S tier skill, because if you're using the dagger builds for anything, that will just double their effects. Really, really good. War veteran is S tier skill. This is the best skill you can get in the game, because it will allow you to ramp up your damage. Even if you go turtle defensive build, that will still allow you to overcome enemies and take out the bosses even during the 30 rounds, so they will not go over that and you won't lose because of that. Next one is battle hardened, and it's an S plus tier as well. Like, those two go really well together, but for all those defensive skills that give you damage reduction, it's important to notice that they are only good until you will reach the capacity. There is a damage reduction cap of 75%. You can get it using the skill, so if you're closer to that, they are less useful. Although for the new players, you don't really have that, so that's a lifesaver. If you can manage to get to like round 10 with both of those skills, you are pretty much good, because you will get a lot of stacked attack and damage reduction from those skills, and after that you're golden. Next one is Trinity Force. It gives bonus to all your offensive stats, so critical rate, combo rate, and counter rate. Honestly, it's an S tier. I'm not sure how high it is, but it's really good, especially if you need extra damage. Next one is Revive. It resurrects you once if you die, and some people will put it really high because their build is working like that, so they are being one-shotted and that saves their life. For me, it's a D tier. For all the newer players, it won't help you out that much. You will resurrect with a low amount of HP, and if you are getting there, most likely you are doing something wrong and you need more either damage reduction or attack or damage sources, or more stuns or healing or something. This won't be any good for you when you're new, but as you go deeper into the game at the higher levels, it will go higher up the ranks, up all the way to S tier probably, when you are being one-shotted by the enemies. Moreover, it will be better in like a guild boss environment when you're being killed early or dungeon. But we are making the tier list for the adventure chapter mostly, so other game modes will have a bit different order of the skills, because the battle don't last that long. Next one is Golden Egg, and it's an S plus tier, but you can't really pick it, so it's always either available or not, but if you can go for it, go for it. Magic Spear, it's a bit cut over here, but it will make your magic spears better. They will do AoE damage, they will burn enemies, and they will do 70% of your damage as far as I know. It makes them way stronger, but only in case if you're using them. So initially I've put it to the D tier because I don't really like the light spears at all, but it can be C tier in case if you're going with lightning spears builds, light spears build, that will be way higher. Pyromancer with unlimited stacks of burning damage, which sounds pretty cool, but in reality it's not, because not many people use burning builds. It's so unreliable, and early on you are better off with basic damage build, critical build, rage build, dagger build. All those things will be better than the burning build, so most people just won't use that. If you are going with a lot of burning stacks though, and you have reliable sources of getting them, that will be good, but not for most of the people. Firecracker, stun enemy for 1 round. It's somewhere between D and C tier. I will put it here because it's situational. If enemies are doing a lot of damage to you and you have those skills that will ramp up your defenses and damage over time, that might save your life by stunning them for the first turn. That will allow you to build up more attack and defenses and overcome the enemies. But in most cases it's useless, because the main issue you have during the chapters are the bosses, and the bosses last for long fights, and one turn things like stuns won't really save you too much, but it can be useful. Next one is Deadly Spikes. It increases the chance of freezing the enemy, and if you're using icy spikes in your build and you're relying on the stun, it might be really good. The problem, it's still really inconsistent, and a lot of enemies, especially the bosses, either immune or resist a lot of those things. But overall, if you're fighting the bosses that can be frozen, this will help you out to stun lock them, and they won't have a chance to do more damage to you, so it can be a lifesaver, but it can be pretty useless as well. Next one is Super Sword Chi. It will make your Sword Chi, Super Sword Chi. It's pretty cool for damage increase if you're using the Sword Chi. Once again, most people don't do that, so I will put it somewhere here. Around the burning, very situational. If you have the sword, if you're using that, that will boost your damage if you have enough survivability, but overall, most of the cases, people don't do that. Super Lightning will increase the lightning damage, and if you're using bolts, that's a good thing that will boost your damage, but it's not as good as other bolt increasing things and other mythic skills, so I will put it, I think it's B. Yeah, it's on the B tier, and situational. I mean, if you don't get anything better and you're using the bolts, you might wanna go for it. Next one is Heat Explosion. That will allow burning stacks to burn faster. Situational again, if you're using burn and you have too many stacks but you don't wanna go for the longer fight, it might be good to increase your burst damage, but not many people use burn. Counter Soul over here will increase your chance to counterattack, which will add a bit of damage. Moreover, it will add some survivability, because you will recover HP when you are lower than 50% HP, so it's situational again, but can be pretty good. It's yeah, right after the lightning over here. It's really good if combined together with other critical skills like critical dodge and that, but once again, very situational, and in most cases you don't want to go that low during the fight, so it might not work at all, and you will be better with other mythical skills that will improve your survivability other way. Next one is Undestructible, and I know there will be some concerns raised because I like it quite a lot. It's one of the really good defensive skills, and if you don't have enough damage, it might harm you a bit and you might actually lose the fight, but most of the cases it will give you survivability, and if you have War Veteran, for example, you will end up getting crazy attack anyway, but you will survive. So I usually take it when it's available and then build up my attack in other ways. There are multiple ways how you can get extra attack, but there are not that many ways how you can improve your damage resistance, and for the newer players it's really important. Glass Cannon, on the other hand, is totally different, because It's a really easy way to lower your damage resistance and get killed, hence it's a D tier. Might be good if you have too much survivability and enemies don't die, but I never heard about those situations. Combo Spirit allows you to get 2 combos and increase your combo rate, and I love combos, so that's why it's in A tier. Really good for improving your damage and triggering the effects of the normal attacks on the enemies. Rage combo will allow you to trigger rage 2 times upon activation. That might be really good if you have all those rage effects or you're doing the rage build. Come on, it should be in the top of the B tier over here. Really good skill, but situational again if you're doing the rage stuff. If you don't do that, don't go for it. Now we have a bunch of those unique skills that are being rewarded for challenges. They give you pretty decent benefits, but at the cost of other skills, and most of the time they are really expensive. We have the Werewolf. This one can be really good if you don't do skill damage, because it will increase your combo damage and counter damage, but not the rate. So in order for it to be effective, you need to have those things rates up and don't do skills. Skills will be pretty useless at this point, but your combo and counter damage will be good. They are rare. That's not your basic damage at the same time, so that's why it's going to the C tier at the end over here. Next one is Wizard, that will increase your skill damage, but at the cost of combo rate and counter rate. It's not damage, it's the rate, and it's really bad as well because of that. Very situational on the C tier as well. Next one is Tamer. Pet damage at the cost of critical rate. If you don't do critical attacks, if you don't do critical build, it might be higher. Overall, still C tier. If you use the critical, that lack of rate will be costly. Vampire will increase your lifesteal rate and lifesteal effect at the cost of skill damage. If you don't do skill damage, it might be good. It's personally, I like it the most of all of those. It's pretty good, but very situational again. Most of the time, you don't really need that lifesteal because it's not that reliable anyway. If you have other lifesteal bonuses like combo increase, stuff that will give you lifesteal effects, it might be good, but most of the time, don't really worth it. And then we have Orc. Orc will increase your critical rate and critical damage, which is really good for critical builds, but you cannot regain rage. If your build doesn't have the rage in it at all and you can totally ignore it, go for it. Most of the times, you still want to use it for shield and other stuff like effects. But yeah, it's a B tier for me. I put it original on C tier, but I think it's a B tier because it can be really useful. Critical is a really good source of damage and it can work really well with some weapons in the game. For example, I'm using this Warrior's Blade and it gives me 20% critical damage on every critical and stacks up 5 times. So it works really well with Orc. Depending on what do you have, it might be better or worse. And then we have the Super Life. It will give you insane HP bonus, and since a lot of things scale of HP like healing and shields, it's an S tier. Actually, I don't remember how high it should be. Yeah, right over here. Well, doesn't matter. The egg don't move. So it's those 3 will help you out so much with your playthrough. If you will be able to get all of them, you are most likely going to win this chapter if you're strong enough. Then we have other mythical skills that are not really affected by your picks, so you can't really prioritize them. They are always good because if you get them, they will help you out. Angel Power and Spawn of Evil. Angel Power will give you lifesteal, summon 1 light spear. Those things are really good, but we don't really have the exact description of those. If you have that, share it down below in the comments. We can add it to the wiki. That will help everyone. Evil Thing will increase your damage and will give you poison, most likely. Angel Power, I think it gives you lifesteal and summon angel daggers, or it's written light spears right now. And I mean, they're cool. This one will last 6 rounds at the start of the battle. This one will activate once you're going below 50% of HP, but you can't really focus on them, so whatever. Now we are going to legendary skills and we will speed up a bit because it will take forever otherwise. Melee Dagger goes to C tier. They will be after the mythic skills because the order will be like rarity, and inside of the rarity there is a priority inside the tier, then other rarity and priority inside of that thing, because you can't really change legendary skill to mythic and vice versa, so there is no point doing that. So yeah, not that great. If you don't need the dagger skills, it can be pretty good. Otherwise, don't go for it. Dagger proficiency increase dagger damage only for the dagger builds if you want damage from them. Most of the times it's not the case for the new players. Dagger mastery increase the damage of the dagger inside of the same round. I think it's right after that. Yeah, it's still there we go. Still good if you want to have extra damage from the daggers, and you have a lot of those, but in other cases, pretty useless. Dagger cooldown is fantastic because it lowers the cooldown of all daggers by one round. That means that you will be able to throw daggers around more effectively, so it's right here on S tier. One of the best things you can get for daggers from legendary tier if you're using them for yourself for either effects or damage. Combo mastery is one of the best legendary skills overall. It's an S+ tier because it's not only increasing your combo rate, but on every combo attack it will increase your attack, and it gives you about 10% of attack on a successful combo, and it can work together with other combo bonuses. So if you get high combo rate and you get 2 combos per round, that can stack up really well and will improve your damage as well. Counter mastery is pretty cool as well. I will put it in an A tier though, because it gives you counter rate and lifesteal rate when you counter, so it can work together with Vampire, for example, or counter builds, but lifesteal is pretty unreliable, and counter will give you, well, depending on the enemies you're facing, but most of the time it's just 1 additional attack per turn, while other things can be a bit better. Although it's a pretty high-tiered skill anyway. If you have legendary, most likely you would like to take it. Crit mastery will increase your critical rate and increase critical damage on the critical rate, and that's really good for the critical build. Since I use that critical sword, it's an S+ tier for me, and it is really, really useful, and it just rocks. Your criticals will just destroy the enemy. With that war veteran, with those combo things, you can ramp up so much damage that just decimate the enemies. Just stay alive. Rage mastery might be pretty cool for shorter fights, but for the longer fights, it's not. I will put it in the D tier because it works in the early stages of the combat when you don't have those damage multipliers ramped up. And by the time you will build up those multipliers, your rage damage will be lower because every time you trigger the rage attack, it will get lower and lower. So overall, it will just make your rage attacks worse in the end, so doesn't really worth it in most scenarios. In the short fights, it's really good though. Next one is burning proficiency. That will increase your burning damage, but who does burning damage anyway? So we'll put it to the C tier. Triple blast. Fire strike triggers 3 stakes of burning. That's pretty good actually, but again, burning, not many people do that, and it's a bit unreliable and requires a lot of things coming together for it to work. Otherwise, it will be just waste of your run. Next one is magic flames. Fire strike has higher chance to trigger burning. Once again, they have to be together in order to work, so all of them are in the C tier. Now we have the shock discharge, and it goes all the way to S+ tier because it will allow us to lower the enemy rage. It is becoming more useful as you go deeper into the chapters because the enemies becoming more stronger, doing more damage, and their rage attacks might one-shot you. This, together with multiple bolt skills, which are not here yet but they will be soon, will allow you to just mitigate enemy rage attacks completely, if used correctly. So that will allow you to just ignore the rage attacks and with the proper stack of damage reduction survive the fight. Sometimes it's the only way to survive that. That's why it's an S+ tier. Next one is Thunderstorm. It's a really good damaging skill, but sadly, as far as I understand, it doesn't trigger towards shock discharge. And what does it do? It gives you airway for your bolt. So basically, after you hit the enemy with the bolt, it will allow you to do another airway strike of Thunderstorm. And it just have the same damage as your bolt, which is pretty cool. That's a lot of source of damage. Oh my god, not here, over here at the end, behind those things. And it's a pretty good skill, but it doesn't improve your overall damage gain too much. And if you use the skill build, it might work. So it's a good thing, really useful, especially with lightning. And Thunderstorm Plus will increase the Thunderstorm damage quite a lot as well. I tried that. but it doesn't trigger this, so sometimes it might be not the best option. Lightning Mastery, on another hand, will give you lightning damage, but it will allow enemies to take less damage overall, and once again, it's just 60%, so over this, it's better to take the Thunderstorm. It will do more stuff, actually. Next one is Multiple Lightning. What it will do, it will allow you to do one additional lightning bolt on every lightning bolt, so that's pretty powerful. You can upgrade it to a lightning bolt plus. That will be 2 additional lightning bolts, and with a couple of those skills you can trigger this every time with this skill. That will allow you just to decimate the enemies and throw lightnings in them like there is no tomorrow. Next one is Alchemist, and it will allow you to do plus 30% or 45 on improved Alchemist damage to the enemies. It's a pretty good skill, it gives you pretty good bonus, but it relies on poison. So for example, you have poisonous daggers, that might be really good, but if you need to get additional skill like poison sword for that, that might not be the best option, so it's pretty situational. Frozen Touch will allow you to trigger additional icy spikes every 2 turns and might one-shot the enemies. It can be really good, especially against some enemies that are really tough normal enemies, but it doesn't work against the bosses, sadly, so you will still have to fight the bosses, basically. Recovery Sword Chi will allow you to heal on Sword Chi. If you use Sword Chi, that might be good, but otherwise, I mean, a lot of conditions for it to be useful. Shrink Spell will lower the enemy damage and it will allow you to survive really tough fights. I was debating to put it either to S or A tier. I decided to put it to the A tier, and it's still a pretty good skill. You have to decide if you need it depending on your survivability or not, and it's still a chance. It's not guaranteed to shrink the enemy. That's why together with the combo skills it gets a bit higher and bit better, because you have more chances to apply it. But it's pretty good, and it will allow you to survive more enemy encounters, because shrink is separate from damage reduction, so you get multiple sources of lowering incoming damage, and that will save your life. Rage Proficiency will allow you to generate extra rage on the normal attack. It lowers basic attack damage quite a lot, but generates 25 rage on every attack, and together with the combo, it can lead you to the Rager build, where you can spam rage attacks quite a lot, and if you use the Rage Shield, for example, that will be really beneficial for you and your survivability and overall damage. But yeah, it's a pretty good skill, I like it quite a lot, and Rage can be exploited after that quite often. Berserker will allow your basic attack damage to be higher at the cost of the skill damage. It's really good if you don't really have the skill damage, so that's why it's a B tier, but that's for the physical build. If you're using critical strikes, counterattacks, combos to do damage to the enemies, that's your go-to thing, because skill damage won't be as good early game anyway, so most of the time you would like that, but it's not better than the rest of the top skills, but still really good. Tyrant will allow you to increase attack at the cost of the HP. It's really good. I would put it at an A tier, but the thing is, if your survivability is low, that might harm you quite a lot. So it's a B tier, but if you are okay with losing some HP and you know that you will survive that, you have a lot of damage reduction, for example, that will allow you to take out the enemies faster, and maybe if you have issues with going to round 30, that will be your go-to skill to mitigate that. Spellmaster will allow you to get skill damage at the cost of basic attacks. It's good if you're doing the spell build, but most of the time you won't do that. I will put it at the end of the B tier because it's very situational. Most of the times, if you're not doing skill damage, you don't need it. So it can be C tier easily, but just out of the respect for the skill builds, it might be good enough. Royal Crown will give you bonuses to HP, defense, and attack, and it's a really good skill. I will put it at the top of legendary skills. I think it's over here, right? Over here. And it's my go-to pick most of the time. Sadly, the defense is the stat that falls off the further you are into the game, so you basically get an attack and HP from this. Multi-strike will double your attack on the first turn, and it's easily D tier skill, because I will put it to the C tier because situational. If you want to take out enemies early on, and that might work in some scenarios, but man, this is mostly useful during the fights where you will die early, because for the campaign progression it's not good. D tier. it won't help you with the boss fights, double the damage for the first turn, won't save you from anything. So yeah, critical dodge will allow you to dodge when you are below 30%. And the problem is that when you're below 30%, you will most likely be dead. I will put it to the C tier. Dodge is pretty cool, but once again, it's not guaranteed, it's unreliable. So you might just waste your upgrade. If you want to get something else, you can get something more useful that will help you not to get to 30%. Critical shield, though, will be in the B tier, somewhere next to the thunderstorm. Because the shield is more reliable, it will allow you to survive for longer, and that shield will save your life a couple of times if you are not being one-shotted. But most likely if you're being one-shotted at that stage, you need totally different tier list at this point. Dual hits will allow you to trigger hits skills 2 times, and it's really good if you use that. I will put it in the B tier. It's situational, somewhere before this, I think. This is really good. And if you have plenty of hit skills like those, that will make your life so much better, especially with the hits recovery. It can give you double of that healing every turn, basically, every round. That will increase your survivability quite a lot and can trigger a lot of lightning bolts and stuff, so if you get the right build for it, it can be pretty strong. And with that, we are moving to the common skills, finally. My god, it's still a lot of skills left, but we are getting there. Dagger. The normal dagger goes to the C tier because it doesn't give you that many bonuses unless you have other daggers that you want to use or use the dagger build. In that case, if you have other daggers already that will give you what you need, it might be a bit higher in the priority and you might want to take it. Healing dagger will go to the B tier. Most people despise the healing builds, but I like when you have like 6 daggers flying towards the enemy and that healing works and you recover a lot of your health actually like that. I'm a bit biased here because I really like the dagger builds as well though. Rage dagger will be an S tier skill because if you want to use rage, that thing will allow you to have so much rage, especially if you have multiple daggers and dagger skills. That will make your life so much better. Next one is lightning dagger. It will go to the B tier. That will allow you to get more bolts going through to trigger this bolt discharge or just destroy the enemy with your bolts. Pretty nice. If you're doing dagger build, you would like to get all the daggers anyway. Poison dagger is not as good, but it can be here right before the normal dagger. It's additional dagger with the poison and it can work well with the alchemist later on, so why the hell not? Enhanced rage skill will go straight to the B. It will increase your rage damage. If you do the rage damage build, it will be useful. In other situations, it might be not as good though. Rage heal will go to the top of the C tier because it will allow you to recover health during the rage attacks. It's not that much though, only 5%, and if you use a lot of rage attacks though, that might be useful. In most cases though, it's not. Rage sword chi will be at the end of the C tier because it's very situational. If you have the rage build and you want the sword chi, it might be good, like extra damage source, but most of the cases not the good. Same with the fire strike, not that fantastic. Even the lightning is just somewhere around here, but right before the sword chi. Rage icy spikes on another hand might be a bit better, especially if you would like to get guaranteed icy spikes and you utilize other attacks, so it's really good. I think it's even better than the rage heal, to be honest. So if you have some other icy spike skills that will lower enemy attack and defense, that might be a go-to thing to guarantee the icy spikes hit. Next one is hits recovery, and by itself it might not be the greatest skill, but I really like it quite a lot. It will guarantee you the healing every 3 hits, which is happening most of the fights. The recovery isn't that crazy good, it's 3%, but it's every round though, so why the hell not? It might be really useful. Especially with double hits, it's 6% every round, which is already something. Critical recovery is a pretty good skill. When you go below 30%, it will trigger 10% healing every round, and it's really good healing source. There are some drawbacks, of course. You can kill the enemy before that or get killed before that will help you out, but overall it's a good source of extra HP. Enhanced recovery, on the other hand, will give you additional 2% HP, And I think it's only after the combat. I don't see it being that useful, so that one isn't that great. This one, damage reduction, I think it's called hard, is easily A tier because it will allow you to get the basic damage reduction at the early fight, and it will allow you not to be killed by the enemies. In some cases, it might be useful even if you have the battle hardened, because this thing needs time to build up. This one works straight away. 25% damage reduction on the first level and 40 on the second level. So if you feel that you might die early on into the fight, you need this skill to survive. Now we get bunch of light spears, and they will all go to the D tier. I don't like them. Most people don't use them. Like, every turn is pretty much okay damage source, but once again, only good if you get this skill that will improve them. I don't know. Not many people use that, and they seem to be lackluster at this moment. My god, there are so many skills left. Let's go. Rage Shield. This one should be high. Yeah, it's an A tier. Right after this defense, because it will allow you to get pretty decent powerful shield with 10% of HP every time you use the rage skill. If you have the rage skill build, you can stack up that shield, and that will allow you to mitigate extra damage. So it works even if you have the full HP, unlike healing. So shields are nice, and this one is good as well. I think I will put it even before this, because it's 5% of your HP, and you can have multiple attacks with counter attacks, with combos, and you will be able to get more shield. The problem is the rage one is guaranteed, this one is chance, so it's not always giving you the shield. So those are really good. I take them most of the time. Round-based lightning will give you one lightning bolt every turn. And if you need lightning for discharge, or you're making a lightning build, or you have other lightning bonuses already, that might be really, really good. Round-based fire strike will trigger one fire strike per round. This is not as good because, once again, fire, it's being placed right after the dagger over here. It's kind of okay damage source. If you don't have anything better, you might go for it, but don't rely on it as your main build thing, unless you go and burn build, of course. Flames from above, come on. Flames from above are okay skill for extra damage, but it's a D tier because it's only one turn, and after that it won't do that much. So all of those from above are not that good. Lightning from above as well, but I mean, that's lightning, that's at least something useful. The problem with the lightning is that those bolts, they will trigger this in the first round, so they won't help you out in the long run anyway. Hits Ice Spike will allow you to get Ice Spike upon several hits, and it's... where is the dagger? Somewhere around the dagger rarity on the C tier. If you really want to get the icy spikes, that might be a go-to, and you might rank it higher, especially if you have this increased chance, and if you will get the things that will lower the enemy defense and attack. Otherwise, not the high priority. Same with the lightning hits, somewhere around here. It's good. It's good. It will allow you to get extra lightning bolt every turn, basically, if you get 4 hits, and that's easy. So should give you quite a bit more, but once again, if you have the hits bonus, 2 times hits, that will be way better. Now, Thunderbolt is unique. It will give you at round 5 lightning bolts, and by itself it's somewhere in the C tier as well. But once you'll be able to make it upgraded Thunderbolt Plus, it will release 5 lightning bolts every turn starting from round 5, and that's 25 rounds of boss fight. So basically it will just decimate the enemy. 5 balls will trigger the discharge most of the time. So it's a really powerful damage source, and lightning bolts, and with all other lightning multipliers, it will just melt the enemies. So it is good. Resilience here will give you some healing between the actions, but it's not guaranteed. It's chance based, so it's a C tier, somewhere closer to the end. What the hell is this? Critical Frenzy. Actually, Critical Frenzy isn't that bad. It's B tier because it will allow you to get extra stats of attack, but only at 50%. So depending on whatever you do, what you build. Dodge is pretty good. It's an A tier because it will allow you to... wow, this one is not feeding the screen anymore. It will give you the chance to avoid enemy attack, while by itself it's not that reliable, but you can stack up the sources of the dodge, and if it triggers, it will give you time to build up or heal up during the longer fights. So Overall, seems to be worth it. Enhanced counter attack is a B tier. It will allow you to get higher counter damage, so not that reliable unless you have really high counter rate. But in any case, for the most enemies it will be only one attack per round, so it's not that important in most fights. Counter rate, on another hand, will give you higher chance to counter, so we will put it somewhere here, higher, and it might be really useful for your counter build. Swift Revenge will give you guaranteed chance to counter an enemy in the first round, which is like nothing, so goodbye. Fire Guard is a chance to counter enemy with the fire attack. Let's put it closer to the end of C tier, over here. Basic attack Icy Spikes is pretty good if you wanna get those Icy Spikes in. Still, it triggers quite often, on especially with the combo, so it might be pretty good. Poisoned Weapon will give you a chance to poison the enemy somewhere in the end of the C tier, because yeah, it's a chance, it's not guaranteed, and poison doesn't do that much damage. What else do we have? Basic attack Sorchi should be somewhere here as well, a bit higher maybe, next to the burn, seems to be a good place. Lightning bolt attack, this one will be higher because it gives us chance to trigger lightning, so I'll put it right next to our icy chance, so it's really good if you want to get more lightning basically. Enhanced basic attack will increase the damage of the basic attacks with the combo and all that. It might be pretty good. Also, I'm not really sure if it works for all basic attacks, so the wording might be different, but I rate it really high, and I've put it I think over here next to the lightning dagger. Yeah, lifesteal chance, not that great. I will put it over here at the end of the C tier. It works, but rarely. I haven't seen that many lifesteal effects triggering, and overall there are better options to be more reliable and heal better. Heavy attack increases critical chance, so it's easily going up the ramp all the way to A tier. And where exactly will we put it? Depends. Somewhere here at the middle of A tier. It's a really good skill to give you a bit more critical. Combo will give you combo chance. It's really nice, so it's going to the S tier right next to the Rage Dagger. Enhanced combo though is not that good because it increases only the combo damage and you need to trigger that, and sometimes you just use combo to get extra DPS. Let's put it, should be next to the dagger, somewhere here. It's not that bad, but most other skills will be better. Ghostly Fire will increase the damage to the burning targets by 20%. It's not that bad if you have the burning. Once again, rare thing, so if you go burning path, that might be a good option. Killer Freeze will increase the damage taken by the enemy by 15%, which is pretty good on every Icy Spike, but it doesn't stack. If you do the Icy Spike attack, it will trigger. Let's put it like that. Don't forget it's not stackable. So A tier for me after the Rage, before the Doge. Frostbite will lower the enemy damage on Icy Spike attack, so it's really good, and it's a top common skill basically, S tier. We have the S plus over there, by the way. I've totally forgot about that, but it doesn't fit anymore. I'll show you the exact picture, like full picture, after we'll finish this. And basically we are pretty much done. We have the Battle Cry, which has very limited usability for the early stages of the game. That might be good if you want to build up some shields, for example, with your Rage. If you have the Rage shield or something like that, early game, while you're building up your Battle Hardened or War Veteran, so in that case it might work. So there we go. Finally we went through all the skills, and all the skills are here. That's the tier list we managed to get for you. Let me know what do you think about that in the comments. I really hope that I didn't forget anything, and of course it's very controversial. I know you guys will be unhappy. Most of you will say that this sucks, this works. I would like to hear your comments, read them in the comments basically, yeah. And you have the text version of this tier list in the guide section on the wiki. I made the text version, so you can read through it and we can adjust it later if things will change. Once again, this is for beginners, all the way from the early games, somewhere to chapter 30, 40 or so, maybe 50. So therefore not the end game stuff, because things change over time drastically. As you will get your pets damage resistance, as you will get more stats, things will shift around. But That's what we have right now. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've spent insane amount of time building this, so I would appreciate your likes, subscribes, and your comments if you like it or not. Anything will do. I read all of them. Sometimes I don't answer, but I read all of them all the time. And check out the video description and the pinned comment for the links to my Discord, where we can discuss stuff, LD players, so you can play Capybara Go and other Android games on the PC, and of course Game Ball Capybara Go wiki with more info on the game. Thank you very much for watching. It's been Stan Kosh. Have a good one. Bye.